Hi, I'm Thorstein from Cinema Terror, and yesterday I took my broken self into the cinema to finally see Insidious: The Last Key. My review of this is super late as I've been in pain for the last few weeks due to problems with my spine. But since yesterday was the final screening of the film, I felt it would be worth it to endure the pain and the annoying teenagers, and see the fourth chapter in the Insidious franchise.
Be careful.
Trust me.
These hauntings can be terrifying things.
I'm a huge fan of the first two Insidious films, directed by James Wan. In fact, I would probably have included Insidious Chapter 2 if I were to make a top 10 list of the best horror films from the last 10 years, as I absolutely love that film. The third saw a shift in quality, as Wan was no longer in the director's chair, but I still went into this one with optimism of it being enjoyable and hopefully a scary experience. Since this is a new movie, I will keep it as spoiler free as possible, but I will go into some spoiler parts after the score has been given, as I do want to talk about a few things that I am unable to do without going into spoiler territory. The Last Key gives all the focus to Lin Shaye's character Elise. We've seen her fight off evil demons in the previous films, but this explores her backstory and childhood and makes her life come in full circle. While still being haunted by her past, she gets a phone call one day from a desperate guy who needs her help in getting rid of the evil that lies within the walls of his home. The twist comes in that this guy lives in the old house that Elise grew up in, and she knows very well what evil lies there. Together with her friends and helpers, Specs and Tucker, she heads back to her childhood home to help out and also confront her very own demons.
I need help. Things are happening in my house, and they say you know about this stuff.
May I ask where you live?
I live in Five Keys, New Mexico.
This house was my family's house.
If you didn't know, Insidious: The Last Key continues directly after the third Insidious and is set before the events that take place in Insidious 1 and 2. With this film, the saga has come full circle so far. The focus on the Elise character is a bit unique in that it's not the norm that a 74-year-old actress is allowed to lead a movie with the target audience being young at an age of 25 and below. And the character deserves it, as she has become the star of the franchise at this point, with a lot of that having to do with the excellent performance by Lin Shaye.
When did these occurrences start?
Soon after we moved in.
Elise has become a tragic character that has dedicated her life in helping others, even if it has absorbed her own potential happiness. She makes the movie, and if you feel the same way for the character, then this will be an enjoyable experience for you. I am guessing, due to what happened to her in the first film, that this will be the last time we see Elise, and I thought to send her off in a good way. The biggest problem I have with Insidious: The Last Key is that the story is a bit too cluttered. Too many things and characters are introduced instead of the film just focusing on making a scary story. You have the flashback childhood scenes with Elise, and I don't consider this part of a spoiler as it happens within the first few scenes of the film, but if you want to know absolutely nothing about this film, then this will be the point where you should turn this off. It is quickly introduced that Elise's father is the old school rough and tough type of dad. This and the fact that Elise can see and communicate with spirits does not give her an easy start on life. Both the broken family dynamic and Elise struggling with learning her abilities is a bit too much, and I would rather have had more focus on just how she tackled her powers as a teenager without the family becoming a big part of the story, as I just didn't care that much for the twist with her family in the final part of the film. They also introduce a new character that gets a decent amount of screen time in the final part, and she's not set up that well at all, potentially making me think that they thought of future films by including him or her in this film. They also basically make Elise say no to help out when she gets a call from the person now living in her childhood home, to make her change her mind and go for it in the very next scene. That's just a bit too sloppy for my taste. Problems with the plot structure aside, Lin Shaye does once again shine and steal the show.
Is there an entity in this house that is trying to hurt my family?
You cannot help but like this character, as even if she is broken at heart, she is still able to put on a smile if it lightens the mood for others around her. She also gets to show off her lighter side due to her having the crew of Tucker and Specs with her. They are the comic relief of the franchise, and as they happen to do in the past, they get too many scenes where they get to be funny in this one. They also have some love interest, where they actually come off just as creepy. It doesn't help that they are probably about 15 years older than the girls they creep on either. While they try to do many things with the human characters, I felt like they didn't do enough about the demon. He, she, it does not do much to separate itself from what we've seen before. Yeah, it gets key-like fingers, but ultimately it was just forgettable. I also missed the creepy music and sounds from the first two films, which they seem to not try to even achieve in Insidious: The Last Key. They did change things up a bit by having a new face behind the camera. Adam Robitel came off the 2014 found footage film The Taking of Deborah Logan, and it does show that he's able to tackle bigger productions on this one. He likes to stretch out potential scares as much as he can, and has no problem with not going through to deliver it either, letting the audience sit and hopefully keep the tension level at high. I did not think that all the jump scares was effective though, and I found there to be a surprisingly lack of scares in general. Even the further in this seems a bit underwhelming.
Be careful.
I would have liked them to turn up the horror level a bit more than what they did. So this is definitively the least scary entry so far. The first two was bright out scary films, while the third had some scenes in it that got my chills running. The Last Key did not. Insidious: The Last Key is a horror film that will be enjoyable for fans of the franchise. If you already are engaged in the Elise character, then this will be worth seeing for you. If you didn't care that much for the franchise already, then this will not turn you around. I still enjoy the Insidious film and I still want more of them in the future. That will of course reflect on my positive score that ended up being a 3.5 out of 5. So, I want to talk a bit more about the film, so beware that from now on this will go into major spoilers. Good? Okay. I know the main focus of the film was not on Kirk Acevedo's character, the new homeowner of Elise's childhood home, but he was just wasted in this film. The idea of the demon in the house making the one living in it do heinous acts aren't bad, but there isn't enough time used on it, making the twist with Elise's dad also not hit us as much as they intended. And while it's not their fault, I cannot look at Acevedo and not think of him as Miguel Alvarez from the television show Oz, so I was sure he was up to something bad as soon as he entered the screen. I am curious to see where the franchise will go next, as I'm sure that this won't be the final one. They pretty much have a clean slate now, as everything has come full circle with the original family and Elise, so while I love Lin Shaye, I do hope that they do not bring her back to do more stuff that happens before the two first Insidious movies. They did set up Imogen's character to be a potentially new Elise, perhaps taking her place between Tucker and Specs. I'm not sure if I want that. I think I would rather want a new film that starts on zero, with new humans being terrorized by a demonic entity. Perhaps Tucker and Specs could return, now being helpless without Elise, but other than that I just want a film with a focal point on being a scary experience. With good characters of course, but it can become a bit boring if you just see Elise fight demon after demon, as we already know where her story ends. I am sure that something like this would get backlash for just being a rehash of the first one, but I'm fine with that, as you can also point the fingers at things in Insidious that are like older haunted house films as well. The brilliance of it comes from its execution, and I do believe that there are plenty of more scares that can be explored in this universe. So, that was my long review and thoughts on Insidious: The Last Key. Did you see it in the cinemas? What did you think of it, and where do you want the franchise to go next? Let me know about it in the comment section below, subscribe and check out my Patreon page if you want to support the channel, and I hope to see you again next time. Thank you.